On behalf of Ricoh, a warm welcome here from Imagine 2012 in the city of Den Bosch. With at my table, Daniel Domscheit Berg. A warm welcome to you. You just told me that you're familiar here in the Netherlands, yeah? You came here often as a child.
Yes, yeah, we were making holidays in the Netherlands with my family and a couple of befriended families. So
okay, so you know,
taking lots of bike tours on Dutch bikes.
So you know bikes, you know markets, you know stuff like that. You know the whole thing. So
yes.
Are you here for a long time now, or just a couple of days?
No, unfortunately, just for a couple of days. So I have to head back. There's some work waiting, as usual. A couple of deadlines that need to be met. But I'm here for 3 days. Okay. So getting to enjoy, unfortunately, not so good weather, but
hey, welcome to the Netherlands.
it's worse in Berlin, you know.
Yeah, it can always be worse. Are you? Do you going to drink a cup of coffee with Rob Kongrijp one of these days, or you're not meeting him?
I'm not meeting him. No, at least as much as I know, there's nothing planned. So
you do have contact with Rob?
Yeah, off and on.
Okay.
So it's. I mean, there's a couple of people in the Netherlands that I know. And,
yeah, he became Dutch famous. He was already a little bit, but a couple of years ago with the big thing you did, of course.
He should have been more famous for other stuff he did before that. So much more substantial, I think.
I agree. He's been been around for a long time already. You stated in an interview I saw on the internet a couple of days ago that if we're talking about WikiLeaks, you were a former spokesman of WikiLeaks, now busy with OpenLeaks. Want to know especially more about that. But you stated in an interview WikiLeaks was too much at once.
Yes.
What did you mean by that?
Well, that's actually essentially what we're trying to tackle with OpenLeaks as well. So the problem WikiLeaks has, in a nutshell, I think, is that it's a conduit for sources, it's a publisher, it's taking or working with documents in all sorts of languages from all sorts of industries, bureaucracies, governments, and all of that. So if you want to handle all these documents in all languages, from receiving them, protecting the sources, verifying this material, to publishing it, then it's too much. It's first of all a lot of work, it's a lot of responsibility, and also it's a lot of power that comes with controlling this whole process. And this is where I think the idea is great. It's just too big, and it cannot scale up to a certain or over a certain amount of work you can do. Was that the most important reason for you to leave, or is it also, I don't know the guy, but I think Julian Assange is not the most easy guy to work with? Well,
to put it mildly?
There are many people that I've worked with that are not so easy to work with. I think probably I'm not so easy to work with myself, so that should not be a reason to give something up. But it got complicated, especially when WikiLeaks got famous. Yeah. It was a bit too full of itself, so that's what we can even perceive to say. WikiLeaks or Julian Assange? The problem is, how do you differentiate between these two? Yeah. So that's where it became difficult in the first place, that suddenly there was no more differentiation between Julian and WikiLeaks, and that's the way he wanted it. Yeah. So I think this is not the best way to go about this. Some others thought the same, and we just decided to quit. How's your relationship with Julian? Up to date? Is it good? No more relationship. No? We haven't spoken since the day that I left. So I'm occasionally. Isn't that a pity? Because I read your book. Yeah. My God, you went through some things. Yeah, we did. Yeah. It was a really great 3 years. Yeah. In the end, it was a bit sad, but overall, the time was really great. We shared really strange moments together, and we were doing some really crazy things. But on the other hand, that's what it is, you know. And occasionally, I'm getting a letter from his lawyer, so it's not like I'm totally out of touch. You're communicating on that level. I'm not communicating back, but at least he's considering me from time to time, you know. Oh, it's a pity, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It is. Then again, you know, this whole process of splitting was complicated enough. It took the better of about half a year to take this decision. So after that decision was taken, you know, the worst part was over. What's the status of OpenLeaks? Because I'm not a specialist in that area. That's what you are. Everybody has his own thing to do. But if I look as an outsider, and I briefly
look, then it doesn't look really active. Then it's like...
Yes, yeah, that's fully understandable that this is what one can perceive. Actually, that's what about everybody speaking to me about this project is saying.
So for a couple of years, you already hear like when's the date when things are finished.
Yes.
Or
So
give me an
unfortunately,
update.
you see, unfortunately, in the beginning, we gave into speaking about dates. So when's the launch date, and we had an idea of when that would be, and that's why a lot of people today perceive it as it didn't happen, in some way.
Yeah.
So the situation with Open Leaks is that for quite some time, especially after the book went out, and also in the beginning when we announced that this would be happening, we couldn't even do a lot of work because too many people just wanted to constantly talk about it. So I was completely caught up in publicity. If that's good or bad is another story. We were busy with finding, let's say, models with which we could sustain ourselves. So how do we make sure that we do not have to rely on people donating to the project? How do we make sure that every one of us working on this is kind of independent and we can remain independent?
But at the same time, you have to buy your bread.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to find a model for your life that works, and we don't want to end up in a situation where we are dependent on people supporting us for this project.
With different interests than you have. Yeah.
This is why right now, up to now, Open Leaks did not have a single cent funded from the outside.
But what is we can discuss about the raison d'être of Open Leaks, but okay, imagine that's there.
Yeah.
Then what would be your ideal model?
For funding?
Well,
the funding model generally should be, from our perspective, that most of what we do is we can cover ourselves, so that we still remain independent. We're not looking at having a big staff that's full-time employed or something like this.
So you do other things besides Open Leaks where you earn money, and then as an extra you do Open Leaks?
Yes, and on the other hand, there are some ways of how we can also get donations to the project that can help sustain the people. We were looking at a model where, for example, we have a basic model that's provided, and when new developments need to be made, our partners can finance the development of something specific that they need, which could be paid, and then we could pay people from this. We're also looking at foundations that might support us, these type of things, but it's not the main focus.
No.
And
what is the status of Open Leaks right now?
well, the status is that we had this test phase last year in summer, which actually was quite successful and gave us a lot of feedback about how we will go about this in the future. And right now we've set up an office, so this is quite a big step for us. We have an office, and we also have some space for near Berlin. It's a little bit outside, where it's quiet and you can focus on stuff. We have some rooms for workshops, where we can train journalists, where we can meet with our partners, and where we can cooperate. And that's the next big step in this whole thing, is that we will take a much more cooperative approach than we thought in the beginning in developing this. Because the main problem that we perceived up to now is that this whole field of whistleblowing on the internet is quite complicated if you want to do it correctly. And the moment that we announce that we will provide a solution, everybody just will take that solution, but no one will think about why that solution looks in a
But explain me the solution, because again, as an outsider, I think if I want to be a whistleblower and I have access to data, and I think it's necessary to publish it, then I publish it. I go to Blogger or whatever, and I just publish the thing. So where does Open Leaks come in, or is that a too stupid question?
No, it's a perfectly valid question, and there's a lot of situations, I think, where your model would work, where a whistleblower can just go to a blogger. The problem is, if you're a standard whistleblower, so to say, the average whistleblower is probably somewhere maybe in the mid-40s or 50s, something like this. It's probably not a very technology affiliated person. Now, what kind of blogger does this person contact? And how do you contact the blogger if you're not entirely aware about your legal status, for example? How do you remain anonymous? And maybe if this is a really hot subject you have, a hot document, how can the blogger defend his publication? So it is all in the details.
Is Open Leaks then like a sort of an advisory organization and platform that is there for those people?
Yes. Well, the thing is,
what's your raison d'être? What is OpenLeaks?
It's very simple. News media and NGOs and others have for many decades relied on whistleblowers to provide them with information. And
the sources.
Yes, the sources. Given that we're developing into the digital age, there should be a way how sources can use the internet to get in touch with these organizations. And that's what we do. We have expertise, technical expertise mainly, but also organizational and some legal by now, on how to go about this technically on the internet. How can you protect sources and these kind of things.
Okay, so on one hand you are there for the whistleblower, and on the other hand you're a supplier of content for the publishing industry.
Yeah, we're kind of a clearinghouse in between the two. We protect the sources, we make sure that there is technology being developed that can anonymize sources, that can protect their interests. And on the other hand, we make sure that sources can give their material to organizations they trust.
But why not let the publishers pay for the content then, talking about a business model?
Because that's a philosophical question. But generally, I think this is not what a business model should be like. So
explain.
The moment you're making this into a business model, I think that moment you're using the most important perspective, which is that it is about this material. It should never be about business. It should never be a consideration of who am I selling this to or how am I marketing this whole thing. This would not help the content.
What's your purpose?
The purpose is to make the world more transparent. And that doesn't mean that we are anti-secrecy or that we think that everything should be out in the open. But we believe that too many things are not transparent. And as Jeff Jarvis, for example, puts it very often, we live in a world where the default is secrecy and we make exceptions for transparency, and that needs to be twisted around. So at the end of the day, it's quite an egocentric thing that we have, which is that I, as a consumer and as a citizen, want to be able to take better decisions. It's quite selfish. I want to be a better person and I need to take better decisions, and for that I need information.
And where is the focus more? Is it on political organizations and governments, or is it commercial companies, or doesn't matter to you?
That's driven by the whistleblower. In our model, we don't even see the content. So by cryptographic means, we do not even have access to the content. So
how big are the forces still? Because again, I read your book, and how big are the forces that are against this philosophy?
That's very hard to say. So I think there is a big force against the philosophy that is completely anti-secrecy. And that would even include me, because I think secrecy and privacy are two very vital things.
But it's a thin line, right?
Yes, there is a very thin line
between privacy at one hand, and on the other hand, the right to know stuff.
Yes, no, absolutely. And it's something you have to probably decide on a case-by-case basis. You cannot find a generic rule that you can establish that will fit for every situation. That's impossible.
Yeah.
So it's a case-by-case decision you have to take. But I think generally the forces against a more transparent world are very small.
How important is social media for you then? Because that's like almost the symbolic instrument that people say, because of social media, you know, power to the people, everything becomes transparent. Do you agree?
Well, I would agree that the big game changer is the social use of technology. And that even includes us then, even though we're not social media. But when technology started to be there for social purposes, then this is what made a real game changer, because it introduced technology into society and into our average days. And that's a great thing. Will social media be so dominant that OpenLeaks is not needed anymore?
No,
it's two completely different things. So,
but would it be a goal for you to say at one day we can stop with OpenLeaks?
Well, our goal would be that we can stop with OpenLeaks at a certain point in time, because every country in this world would have laws to protect whistleblowers, would have a much higher standard of transparency per default. You know, and when that is the case, when whistleblowers can be out in the open and we take them as the heroes they are, and as the people telling us the truth that they are, and we're not prosecuting and punishing them, then we're superfluous. So that's the goal we're working towards. You know, we won't ever be mutually exclusive with social media or anything like this.
I'm not going to ask you a date, but why does it take why does it take so long to be up and running? Because it can be too difficult. Just why not open the house and go?
There's a couple of different reasons. So if it was just about providing a website where people can submit material, that's the smallest part.
Okay.
There's a lot of it is a learning process that we need to do with our partners, so they understand this whole field. They understand privacy matters on the internet better. They understand security matters, these kind of things. And on the other hand, as I said, we all still have to struggle for ourselves and see that we still are able to bring some bread on the table, and that also consumes some time. So, and then again today, for example, I'm here, and I'm not.
How important is that? That you are on events like Imagine 2012.
I actually think it's really important, because especially at events like here. In the audience, there's probably a lot of people that would be rather afraid of what we're doing than that they would see a benefit from it. And it's quite important actually to tell these people that I think whistleblowers is nothing, and whistleblowing in general is nothing that businesses should be afraid of. It's rather something they should look into themselves, because it keeps them honest and it keeps them sustainable. And you should never punish a messenger, but you should always listen to the people that tell you what's happening.
Who is Daniel? Are you an idealist? Are you just a hacker?
Just a guy.
Just a guy. No, it's more than that.
I don't know. I'm probably an idealist. I'm an optimist, a hopeless optimist. Some people say. Technically, I'm a hacker. I don't know.
You still do coding?
I'm not a good coder, so I've never been. So I come from a network security world. This is where my real strengths are.
You know how to crack codes?
That's not my profession either. So I mean, I understand my share about security, but every time.
But it's not about technical stuff, right?
No.
In the essence.
No, it's not.
No.
No.
Did you? Is there a movie about WikiLeaks, Secrets and Lies?
There's a bunch of movies, and there are even more movies.
There was on South by
made.
Southwest. There was a guy, Patrick Forbes.
Yes, that
did
one.
Did you see it?
No, I very rarely watch anything that I'm participating in. This is like people listening to answering machines. It's like, oh my God, that's not my voice. And in the same respect, I don't like to see my face on the TV or somewhere. So.
If your next book is finished and it's laying here, what's the title going to be?
Actually, they started to work on something there. So the next book would or will be, however that is, on that whole subject of transparency and on the future. So that's what the feedback on the other book was, that some people were hoping that I would elaborate more on my view of transparency, of also the value of open networks, where we're headed with society, these kind of things. So a bit more the theoretic part. And I guess that's what I would even really love to write about. It's just a matter of time as well.
I'm looking forward to read it. Daniel Domscheit, Berg, thank you very much for this interview.
Thanks.
And thanks for watching here live from Imagine 2012 on behalf of Ricoh. Bye.